Are you one of those people out there that feels like they're just merely existing? Is that question still burning in the back of your mind? Why am I here? What is my purpose in life? What am I meant to contribute to society? Is there a greater meaning to my existence? And what does it really mean to live? Why do I feel so lost? If this is you, stay tuned, because there are so many of us, so many people like you out there asking themselves this very question every single day they get up and they see a new day. Well, let's find out together if we can move at least in the right direction. And that's by taking God with us and looking at our lives through His perspective. And just maybe we can find the purpose that we are looking for in our very lives. Can anybody tell me if they remember road maps and long cars called station wagons with the wood grain on the side? Back in the 70s and 80s, yep, those were the good old days. And I actually miss the simplicity of those days as well. But now we have something called a GPS, and I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with that. Easy and efficient. But let's just say that for all hypothetical reasons that your phone doesn't work right now, or it lost its charge and you forgot your charger at home, or your car doesn't come equipped with this technology, and you have to learn how to use a map, and you're crossing state lines and you're not familiar with this state. How do you navigate something that you don't understand fully? You would have to roll up your sleeves and learn right there on the spot how to look at something you're not used to seeing. For those of us that are used to maps, it's no big deal. But for somebody that's used to technology, this can be a daunting task. But this replicates closely the life that we all share and live in this world. As we know, life is not easy. It's full of twists, turns, and mountains that we have to climb. But with God and the Bible, we can learn to navigate our lives a whole lot easier than before, when we didn't have Him in our hearts and in our minds. As Christ would say, love God with your entire mind, your soul, and spirit. So going after God diligently every day when we make mistakes in our minds before we can conceive it or put it into action, which is sin, whether it be fornication, adultery, lying, stealing, cheating, anything, gossiping, being jealous, all these things that separate us from God Himself. No, you can't be separated from His love or His blessings. After all, you've gotten up today. You've ate breakfast, hopefully. You live in a home, hopefully. No matter what, you were blessed with life this morning. What I'm talking about is our purpose and our destiny in life. Without God at the helm of our worlds, our lives, every day, it will be hard for us to understand where we're actually going. Just like if you don't understand how to read a map. But with Him, it becomes so much simpler. So let's look at it through God's perspective and how we read the map of our lives, because each and every one of us has a built-in purpose before the time of our actual birth, before our moms knew to name us, before they knew that they were pregnant, our parents, I mean. God had a purpose set out and written for us before we were ever conceived. In Jeremiah 1:5, it says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you, ordained you a prophet to the nations." This is when the Lord was talking to Jeremiah. If you can remember, if you've read your Bible, this story stands out to me as a monumental sign that God knows us before we were ever born. That's so amazing, guys. So everything that happened, it doesn't matter if someone says you were in an accident or anything like that, you were born before wedlock, your parents weren't married. God knew you were going to be born. There's nothing under this sky that he doesn't know about. There's a body that your spirit was going to be designed for on this earth. And before you check out and life is over, you have a destiny with God. In Psalms 139, 13 through 16, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. So, how do we get a hold of our purpose without knowing that God exists in our lives? If you look at society around us and you see what it's made of, a secular perspective, not a godly one, it's no wonder that a lot of people can't find their original purpose that they were actually rightfully born with. You have a right to the purpose that God has designed for you. But this society fights hard to hide that from our children. Yes, our children. We've all been brought up in the school system where we are not taught about God. There's no way that we can get God in. I was not allowed to read my Bible in school. So God is shunned. So it's no wonder that children are entertained by whatever this world puts in their minds. If God is not an elective in schools, a choice, that a parent will have to sign off on, of course, but a choice, an elective is choice. You don't have to take this class. It's not forced on anyone, but it's a choice. And I say that again because everybody argues that, what about this? What about that? It doesn't matter. God is outside of our minds. He is outside of our society. He is not in any shape or form integrated in our worlds. He should be on top of our worlds. He should be forming our world, our society, not man. So if you don't know about God, guess what? You're not going to spend your days learning about your purpose. So it can't just be in church one day a week. There has to be a way that we get to understand who God is in our lives. So where do kids spend most of their time? In school. When they're at home, their parents are busy. They're just not, one's getting off, one's going to work, or they're busy, cooking or paying the bills. It's hard to understand where God fits. Well, it's easy to see how God doesn't fit. And not saying that there aren't parents out there that sit down with the children and spend time with them in the Word, but not enough, because our society is an indication of that fact right there. So if we start with our educations in schools, in the public, as Jesus died in the public, we can acknowledge him in the public. We start in schools, it will formulate that idea or that ideal that later on in life, children won't have a problem looking to God and focusing on him in order to find their purpose, the true meaning of life. Hello, brothers and sisters. Thank you for watching and tuning in. Part 2 will come out Sunday as we have to dive into this very broad subject together. And maybe we can come up with a solution together and how we can get a hold of this problem that has always been here. Because if we can agree that our children's spirit, their minds, and where they go in life is the most important thing to us, then we have to agree that God has to be at the center of that. And I believe it starts with holding our system, our government system, and who controls the educational systems accountable for hiding this truth from these precious lives, these young lives that deserve the right to understand who made them and where they come from and where they should be going in life.